If you are here, you're probably an accredited investor evaluating Norada Capital as either a new investor or an existing investor, and you are looking to maybe potentially increase your investment, or you're just interested in what we're doing on the mastermind side of the business. So if that's not you, maybe you're not in the right room, but just hang out with us and learn what you can. All right. I think it's 3 minutes after 11. I think I'll maybe just jump in here. Again, as a reminder, the Q&A box is there somewhere. Feel free to drop a question in. All right, with that, let me introduce my friend, business partner, Andrew Cordle. I like to refer to him as a special guest. I mean, I've had Eddie on the show. I've had all kinds of business partners and guests. It's not exactly a show. It's really a weekly webinar that we talk about what we're doing at Norada Capital and how we're growing and scaling essentially what is our private equity firm. It's an investment fund for you. You can invest with promissory notes. It's monthly predictable income. And we allow you to invest and grow with us as we grow our business ventures. So I've known Andrew for probably 10 years or more. I knew him when he was in the real estate investing space, and I don't want to steal any of his thunder. He's a brilliant, brilliant guy. He's the visionary of visionaries. I like to say and joke that his head is always in the clouds, but that's a good thing, not a bad thing, because he's just a visionary. He's the dreamer, as he likes to call himself. But I've gotten to know Andrew over the last 5 years or so. We've been on houseboat trips together. We've been parts of other mastermind businesses, not businesses, but masterminds that ultimately led to our own mastermind and then another one. But he's just a very smart guy, very smart business person, understands taxes and how to save taxes and money movement very, very well. And he's brilliant for that. And that's what we talk about at the various events, Aspire and the Money is Mastermind. But in conjunction with Andrew and Eddie Wilson, our other business partner, we started talking about this thing called Money is Mastermind about, 3 years ago, maybe longer. And that led to building that mastermind, and that led to Aspire, and that led to the Level Up Real Estate. But like I said, Andrew's an incredible guy, great friend. We've done many things together, including, a trauma boot camp. So we've done a lot of things. So with that, Andrew, hey, I'm glad you're here. Welcome.
Yeah, happy to be here, Markham. I appreciate it, and thanks for the introduction.
Definitely. I know I've skipped a lot of things about you. You're
That's
just
right.
such a great guy with a big, big, big heart. So I love that about
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, man.
Is there anything you want to add to kind of my brief intro about you, just so people who are listening in, understand who you are?
I don't think maybe about the intro, but I think I think the piece I'd talk a little bit more about would be my background for the last 10 plus years now has been in the live event space business. And so speaking from almost all 50 states with live events that we've ran, and then international events as well. 22 different countries we've hosted different events inside of. And so the mastermind or live event space, although it's the first time we're bringing it out here inside the fund, it's not a new thing that we're doing. Like I said, I've been in it now for over 10 years and have done literally thousands of events now in those 10 years. Speaking at them, hosting them, putting them on, co-hosting them, you name it, we've done it inside of it. And so this is more the first time we kind of brought it to the fund, but it's not new to us as a business, if you will.
Yeah, and actually that's something that I didn't purposely omit. I wanted to kind of build up to that. You've
Oh,
spent
sorry.
No, it's cool because it's really a big deal. You spent years and years presenting on stage.
Yeah.
It's like you were born to do it. You're a natural. You have an incredible stage presence.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've sold in gross sales 9 figures from stage over the years. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, yeah, well over 9 figures on stage. So that just simply means speaking on stage at an event somewhere, and then making a close on stage, and then people signing up for that product or service or whatever it is that we were offering at the time there. So yeah, in my career,
Yeah.
well over 9 figures now,
And
multiple
you
nine
know why
figures.
that's so significant, Andrew? Is as people are listening to this, and we're going to talk about, our masterminds, Money Is and Level Up and whatnot, and particularly Aspire, is that skill that you have is incredibly important because at the end of the day, it's a business, and we are trying to
Mhm.
sell as much as we can as far
Yep.
as memberships, into our masterminds from stage. And if you don't have that skill or that ability, or if we aren't able to deliver that sales pitch that you do,
Right.
it's not going to be a viable, sustainable business. And so it's incredibly important that you have done that and you're able to do that and you bring a brilliant skill to the table. So I can't help but to underscore and highlight that, that skill, and that's what you do. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, just a little bit of background to understand it would just be if you took for the viewers that are listening that are thinking about, hey, is this a good investment, bad investment? Just understand that we're talking about on stage. For many, many years, I averaged 27 hours per week on stage. So we're not talking about I was on stage making a keynote for 1 hour and a week. The way that it worked for me and still does to this day, what we're doing with Aspire is normally when I go out and speak, most of the time I'm speaking for 3 days straight and 8 hours a day for all 3 days. And so, actually, it's 9 hours, 9 hours, and then nine hours a day is what I should say. And so
Mhm.
it's like 27 hours a week that you're on stage speaking. And then before COVID hit, I did 96 weekends in a row with no weekends off. Just me and my team on the road speaking for 3 days at a time. But all that to say is just when you add up the amount of time that I've been on stage speaking is where what you refer to as the expertise or the stage presence comes from. It's not because I read a book or although I've read many books about it. It's because of trial and error, And so probably when I first got started speaking, I started speaking probably 15 years ago, just for other people, and I probably would not wanted to have invested with me 15 years ago when I was first starting off speaking. But 15 years later, now that it's kind of perfected and the numbers speak for themselves as far as what we have sold on stage, and every single week we hit these numbers almost like clockwork. I mean, I don't know if Marco, how much data you're going to go through, but there's a percentage that we know based off of how many people are in the room versus how many show up, the show rate percentage versus the buyer percentage versus the collection percentage. It's all down to a science at this point.
Yeah. So to bring you up to speed, Andrew, I do talk about Aspire, Money Is, and Level Up pretty
Yeah.
much on every single webinar that I do, which is every week on Wednesday, like we're doing today.
Yeah.
I don't go deep into it, but I do talk about some of the numbers, how many people attend each of Aspire events, how much we convert, like the 21% ish around there,
Yep.
and all that stuff. And so I do talk a little bit about the numbers, but kind of at a 30,000 foot level.
Sure.
We can go as deep as you want today. I think this will be evergreen, this webinar, for a while, because we can paint the vision of where we're going with this, and it's going to stay true for the course of the 2024 and into 2025. So this is a good segue. We're building this machine, this beast, which essentially is Aspire driving people into these two masterminds that we're growing and scaling. Money Is, and I talk about it all the time, so people have a pretty good idea of what Money Is all about. But I don't want to make assumptions. There's probably people on the webinar today that don't really know what money is. And then we're also driving people into the Level Up Real Estate Mastermind, which is essentially the sister to Money Is. Maybe take a minute or two, or however long you want. Describe the masterminds that we're building, like where you can go back in time if you want, but let's talk about Money Is. What is Money Is? And then we'll segue and we'll talk about Level Up.
Yeah, sure. So Money is a 3-day class. So when you come to Aspire, if you I make a presentation there. If you choose to buy that at Aspire, then you're going to go to a 3-day master class. We leave tomorrow for Miami. I'll speak on Friday, and numbers will tell me we should sell around 600-ish people into that master class. That's going to be coming up basically the next weekend. It will be there. And then I'll go back that following weekend and I'll do local in their market. And then those 600 people show up plus their guests. And then we'll hold a 3-day conference. And at that 3-day event is basically talking to entrepreneurs. Like if you look at who the demographic is entrepreneurs, successful business owners, high net worth individuals. Like that's kind of our main demographic in the room. I can tell you that at the masterclass, about 80 to 85% of the room is own a business of some kind. And then the normal revenue fluctuates, but the broad stroke, the normal revenue is like $500,000 to $2 million is what these business owners are doing. Now we have outliers that are doing $100 million in revenue. But our main just bread and butter demographic is that $500,000 to $2 million entrepreneur that's in business, that's driving revenue inside of it. And money is a way of my own journey of trying to figure out why every year when I was in business, I always went back to zero, and I would build my business, and then I'd find a way to deduct all my money and basically spend all my money to go back down to zero and then start over the next year. And so as I was doing it, I just kind of got frustrated with it and say, man, there's got to be something else that I'm missing here. And that's kind of the birth of money is. And so when the entrepreneurs are coming into the room, they already have money. They're already what you call successful, but they're kind of in that phase where they're kind of running their head into a wall. And no matter how much money they make, it's always kind of like they have it, but they don't have it. But they do make money, but they can never really like hold on to it, if you will. And so that's what money is really about, explaining to them how the tax structure works, the differences of when to use an S corp, when to use a C corp, but also the tax-free world, which is a big piece that we teach, which is how do the wealthy, and I mean the mega wealthy, how do they have $100 million inside of their Roth? Do they have a solo Roth right now that they're using in their own company? And when we go through, like, and I ask the question, how many have a solo Roth? You're talking like 99% of the room does not have that account, which is like the most powerful tax-free account that exists inside of business. And 99% of the room, if not 100%, has never even heard of it before. And so it's walk them through that process, explain to them how they can really push their financial IQ up to get to a place where they can keep the money they're making, scale their business, keep more of their profits, and get out of the kind of the mom and pop mindset of I make money in my business and I go back to zero. I make money in my business and I go back to zero and I deduct it. How do I make money in my business and then keep as much of it as I can, and then especially learn how to keep it inside of tax-free accounts forever and kind of set that legacy estate planning, if you will, when you pass away as well. That's kind of what the money is, mastermind membership is. And so we sell at that 3-day class, we sell a membership to attend. And so it's a 1-year membership. If they want to continue learning about it, they want to network with us. We own our own app. We built from ground up. It's proprietary to just us. It's a dynamic app, which means we can skin it as many times as we want to. But they belong inside of our community, which is inside of the app that we have. And then we have different live events that they attend. We have weekly calls that they attend with my tax attorney, my CPA, my custodian, that are answering questions for them about what's going on in the marketplace, what are wealthy doing right now with stuff. They get to ask live questions to a tax attorney at an extremely high level, and it doesn't cost them anything. It's kind of built into their membership. And so, Marco, do you talk about how much membership costs and so forth?
Yeah, you're doing great, by the way. And yeah, I cover not to the depth that you just did, but I cover wide. You're going deep, which is great. But yeah, it's basically a base of $15,000 per year for money is, and we've got some add-ons, and then of course the ultimate is the Chairman's Club. And but I'll let you continue. I mean, I know the spiel, but
yeah. So the main price we sell it is $15,000 per year per membership, and they can attend the 1 year worth of membership inside the community. We've got well over 1,000 members. It's the fastest growing mastermind on the face of the planet right now. There's not even a close second place to what we're doing. Just to give you guys an idea, a basic high ticket mastermind would probably have like a really, really big one. Might have like 300 members inside of it. And it's taken them 5 years to get to 300 members. In our first year, we did over 1,000 members in our first year alone inside of it. And second year, we'll probably double that size from the first year alone, not including the renewals that are be coming in. But we sell that membership for $15,000 per year. They can join. We have what's called a Chairman's Club, which is $50,000. Uniquely enough, we didn't set out to build it for $50,000. That was actually brought to us by our members. And so at our first mastermind that we hosted a couple of years ago, after the event, a couple of members stopped us in the hallway, me and Eddie and Marco, and was like, hey, we want to talk to you guys. And I was like, oh crap, man, this is our first mastermind, and this group of like 6 people were there, and I'm like, oh man, what do they want? And they're like, we have this little office over here room, and we went in this room. They had kind of like planned it out, and basically they were just saying, hey, listen, we're high net worth, we love what's going on here, we love our membership, but we wish there was something a little bit more exclusive for us. And that's where we came up with the idea of Chairman's Club. And so Chairman's Club is $50,000 for the membership. You get a lot of different perks with it and so forth, but it's $50,000 per membership. And about 10% of our room buys $50,000 packages and pays for them at the event. And the reason well, I want you to know that is because it's very important to understand when you invest in something like this, who is the demographic you're working with. And I tell you one, like an area that to stay out of, and that would be when you're in a space like what we're in, and the people in the room can't actually afford your products. So when the people can't afford your products, they may want it. You may convince them to buy it, but then they have to go mortgage their house. They have to go sell their car. They have to go cash out their 401k. They got to go open new credit cards up and then put it on these new credit cards they have or whatever. And they can't actually afford the product. That is a recipe for disaster inside of an industry. For us, the unique thing about it is 80. I just talked to Nick, our president of the company, but it's almost like 81% of our customers pay in full at the event, which means they just walk up, hand a credit card down that they already have, their Amex or business credit card, their business debit card, whatever it is, and pay for it in full. And then the rest of them pay within the next 3 weeks, meaning they have to go move some money around, move a mutual fund money or whatever it is, or they're waiting for a deal to go through. But the other percentage of them pays within the next 3 weeks. My point is, even on the $50,000, actually to even qualify to get in as a $50,000 member as a Chairman's Club, you have to pay in full. We do not give you any terms whatsoever, meaning if you can't pay in full, you're probably not qualified yet to be at that level inside of it. We don't want you to go mortgage your house or get a line of credit with somewhere. Either you have this or you don't have this, and you see the value and join. And so the Chairman's Club has been something very unique. Is probably the most powerful thing we have. We have a private group chat with all the Chairman's Club that I'm on every single day talking to them nonstop. But inside the mastermind, there's a $15,000 yearly membership and a $50,000 yearly membership that they join. And then Level Up is basically, like Marco said, kind of the sister company behind that. The way I would describe it would be at Money Is, they're really trying to figure out how to keep the money they're making. They're already making money. They're trying to figure out how do I keep the money that I am making and be able to do more with it. Level Up, which is the real estate side of it, is really driven off of more people that are trying to create more money. So it's a mixture of two different groups. Some of the people at Money Is will attend Level Up, which is the following weekend. And it's a 3-day class that we teach. And at Level Up is more about creating money inside of real estate, right? And so half the people at Money Is will attend that event there. And because they're looking to, like, I had this business, but I want to invest money into owning rental property, single family homes, turnkeys. They want to own apartment complexes, whatever it may be. And then there's another half of that room at Level Up that came from Aspire that did not go to Money Is. They just chose to go to Level Up, meaning they have a high interest inside of real estate. That's what they want to spend their time at. And so about half the room at Level Up is Money Is. Half the room at Level Up is new from Aspire, the same event, but just they didn't go to Money Is. And then it's the same thing. There we have basically the 2 memberships as well that we run out from there as well inside of Level Up as far as yearly memberships go.
Yeah. Great descriptions. Andrew, something you don't know is I shamelessly pitch Aspire and the masterminds on pretty much every single webinar because it's such a significant portion of Norada Capital. And then for everybody here listening, I put the links in the chat box. So aspiretour.com will take you to the Aspire website, which we'll talk about here in a minute. And the Money Is website link is put there as well. So if you click on that, it'll take you to the website so you can check that out. I think something important to point out is that right now, the revenue model lies heavily on Money Is. Level Up is growing and will continue to grow and scale. And who knows, it could surpass what we're doing with Money Is. Great content, weekly content, monthly content, quarterly events where we have them either in Salt Lake City or in Ponte Vedra, Florida, where we have our corporate office. So there's a lot of value. Like the value proposition is huge. So it's almost like a no-brainer for people to invest 15K or more to join because they're like-minded people coming together. They share knowledge. We solve problems. It's like a traditional mastermind. They all want to achieve goals. They want the content. They want to consume it. But here's the big part too. It's sticky because people I always say they come for the content and stay for the community. We have
Yeah.
built such an amazing community that you just described, Andrew, where these are small to medium-sized business owners. They've got money. They're aspiring to be more successful, to make more money, to move money, to invest, reinvest, and not just grow their money, but protect it, which is a huge thing. You're a genius on that, and you talk about it all the time. How do you protect your money and build it tax-free or tax-deferred virtually forever?
Yeah.
This is the value that we deliver. And so people want to learn this stuff. They don't teach it in schools. Your parents don't teach it. And if they teach it to you, it's probably wrong to start with. That's why your parents aren't wealthy. So, or in most cases, right?
Yeah.
So the value proposition is huge. Now the question becomes, how do we grow and scale these businesses? Like, they sound great, right? Anybody listening to this is saying, wow, that's a great idea. I'd like to join or check it out. Maybe I'll go to Money Is, or maybe I'll go to Aspire and see what you guys are up to. Great. But how are we driving that? I always refer to it as a marketing funnel. We bring people in by the thousands to Aspire, the Aspire tours at the top, and then we funnel them down. They filter themselves, but we funnel them down into the master classes, and then from the master classes we filter a percentage of those people into the mastermind, and that's where we have our scalable revenue, where we can create reoccurring revenue. Talk about Aspire, because Aspire is brilliant. People love what we're doing. We're showing up everywhere. Forbes just called us the largest business tour in the US, which is a huge testament to what we're doing. I'll just shut up and let you
Yeah.
talk about Aspire, because I could talk about it for an hour. So,
Yeah, Aspire really is what puts us on the map, if that makes sense to you. Meaning, um, I would say that what makes us top of the funnel and makes us more public and more brand, if you will, is Aspire. And that's because every month we're going to major cities. This week, literally, like I said, in 24 hours, we're going to Miami. And then
yep.
next we're in Orlando, and then we're in New York City, and then we're in Houston. But every month we go to another major city, and we're marketing with all kinds of celebrities that are coming into these events. And so, in Miami, we have Gary Vaynerchuk coming. We have Oscar Rodriguez, Marcos Lemonis. I forget who else is coming into it.
Kevin
Uh,
O'Leary,
Kevin
six.
O'Leary, Tim Story. Anyways, all these celebrities will come into the Aspire event, and then that's what's attracting what I talked about earlier, the right demographic to the room. And so we've got to spend money on the talent, because the talent is what's drawing the right demographic to the room. If you notice, as I was describing all those different people there, they're all in business at some degree, some level, but they're all in business. Gary Vaynerchuk, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. We've had Robert Herkovich from Shark Tank, Marcos Lemonis from CNBC, The Profit.
Sarah
Alex
Blakely.
Rodriguez owns A-Rod Corp right now, a massive, almost $1 billion empire. Just bought the Minnesota Timberwolves. Alex did. So this is Aspire, and so Aspire is kind of the North Star, if you will, that draws everybody into it, and then and the right demographic, and then from there is where we will make a presentation, and I'll teach on Money Is. My business partner Eddie will teach on real estate, level up. He owns 4,000 doors right now. Both of us, including Marco, of course, have massive real estate backgrounds in our careers for 20 plus years apiece. And so Eddie will talk about real estate, and that's what drives him into level up. And so, the first year that we were doing Aspire, we were probably averaging around 1,200 to 1,300 maybe people, attendees per Aspire event that we held. And lately we have jacked that number up. Between 2,500 would be a low event for us right now. And 4,500 would kind of be the events that we hit right now. In New York City, we're doing Madison Square Garden in July, and at that one, we're hoping to have close to 6,000 people attend the Madison Square Garden in July. And so, again, just the first year, we were averaging around 1,300 people, 1,200, 1,300 people per Aspire, and we did the numbers that I was telling you. Well, now where Aspire's almost doubled that in size. We didn't double the amount of events. We're not doing 2 Aspires per month. We're just doing one Aspire per month.
Mm-hmm.
But the room sizes have doubled. And part of that is honestly because of the brand. We did some testing in our marketing, and cities that we have been to before versus cities that we have not been to before. The cities that we've been to before market and show up significantly better. And it's because the year before we were there, we spent X amount of dollars on marketing with these brands and creating a brand awareness inside of it. So even if they didn't go, they saw it. It was all on all their social media feeds. It's on news stations. It's on billboards. It's surrounding them right in that market.
Mhm.
If they didn't go, they saw it. And so then the next time we come back in, they see it, and there's immediately brand recognition. If you understand marketing and branding, that takes place there. And so the second time around, second year, if you will, the aspires have been growing significantly, like I said, double, if not triple in size for these aspires, which is what is pushing the projection into all the numbers that we're doing, because the rooms are like I can already tell you. I can pull up my phone right now and tell you how many tickets we've sold for Miami, which will be last year we did a show in an Aspire in Fort Lauderdale, and we had about 1,200 people show up at Fort Lauderdale. And this year, right now, will be close to 3,000 people, paid attendees. These are all paid tickets. There's not the free tickets or paid tickets to come into it. And so last year, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, we did 1,200. This year, we'll do 3,000 in basically the same market. But it's because we're that second time through those different cities there. So that's really the top of the funnel that is driving everything into it. Of course, when you double, triple the size of it, then as the funnel, as Marco explains it, kind of goes down, it allows you to have, instead of us signing up, last year 60 members a month to the Money is Mastermind. This year we'll be signing up 140 members, 120 members to the Money is Mastermind right now per month as they're joining the masterminds there. Now, again, Marco, as far as scaling, I don't know where you want to go with this, but of course we could talk about Aspire Local as well, which we've recently launched as well, to help scale the overall machine that we're building out here. One more note that I think is very important. Again, if I put my investor cap on, I think from an investor standpoint, that I think is very important to note is that obviously events have been around for a long time. We did not create or event events, if you will. They've been around a very, very long time. And I was in events for, like I said, 10 plus years before everything. Well, what happened, and this is really where the opportunity lies, and why, in my opinion, this is one of the reasons why it's such a good investment, is in anything in business, part of being successful at business is being the first one there. Part of being successful in business is beating your competition to the punch, and you get so far ahead of them that no one can compete with you. Well, pre-COVID, 2020, pre-COVID, there were probably 50 different event companies that were out there. Obviously, I worked with a lot of them, knew a lot of them, spoke a lot of them that were out there. And what happened was during COVID, they all shut down because live events stopped, and so they all shut down. And they never came back in business. They just ended it and did not relaunch. Well, what I saw was during COVID, I saw a massive opportunity. I said, my God, for the last 30 years, there's been an event and a type of entrepreneurial event, real estate event, whatever it is, in these cities all the time. And they're shut down now for 2 years. They were almost no events were kind of happening. And so during COVID, me and Eddie and Marco got together and started planning, building, creating the idea, the concept, how it's going to run, how we're going to do it, etc. And when COVID kind of came out, and it was super clear you could go and hold events and live spaces, whatever, we hit the ground running. And at this point, we are so far ahead of our competition. First of all, there is not even a competition out there. But if there was competition, we are so far ahead of them that they cannot compete with what we're doing and the size of what we're doing and the talent that we're getting in to these events. So just know from an investing standpoint, although events are not new, because of what happened in COVID and it got shut down, we are so far ahead of everybody else that's out there right now. We are the leading pack, the number one company inside of the event spaces that are out there. As you heard Marco said, Forbes just announced the largest business tour in America is us. Like, there's no one bigger than what we're doing that's out there right now. So that's another thing just keep in mind as an investor is as you're looking to invest in something, what's our competitive advantage? What makes us different, say from our event company, that maybe you're going to invest in another kind of event company. I'm saying it's a fund, but I'm saying if say you're going to invest in the fund, and one of them is we are the largest. We are so far ahead of everybody else that's out there, and it was planned that way. It wasn't by accident. It was literally saw the opportunity as a business owner, knew the background because I had 10 years into it, saw the opportunity and seized it right when it hit inside of it. So this is another food for thought there. And then Mark, if you want to go deeper into Aspire or you want to go into local, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, well, let's touch on local. I didn't want to actually bring it up at
Oh, okay.
all because of convers. Well, it's fine. I just didn't want to bring it up because of the conversations, confidential conversations you and Eddie and I had, over the last month or two. But
Yeah.
I mean, if it's open to be talked about, let's talk about it because I think that's significant because it's a huge revenue driver and it's going to take
Yeah.
Aspire from being this amazing marketing machine to being an amazing, profitable, very profitable marketing machine. But before you go there, it's just interesting. It's kind of a side comment. It's interesting to see how what we talked about 3 years ago, and I still have screenshots of our Zoom calls between me,
Yeah.
you, and Eddie, like where we're sketching out all these ovals and these like sub masterminds within the mastermind, how things have changed and evolved, but we've exceeded a lot of our expectations over the last 2, 3 years of where we started. It's also important, I think, that we provide some credit to the team, the staff that we've built, like the people that you've literally flown out to meet with and visit and convince the families to come
Yeah.
and, you know, join this vision with us and come for that ride and move to Florida. I mean, what you've done is incredible. But we've got an amazing team. Like every time people come to an Aspire event, and I always pitch it on the webinar, get a ticket, come to an event, go to aspiretour.com,
Yeah.
see where we're at, and come check it out. You'll be blown away. We actually sell tickets on every single webinar that we do. People go and buy tickets and text me, tell me, hey, I'm coming to the event. I got tickets. But yeah, no, the team that we built, the staff, it's like 60, 70 people now. It's like a huge team. They're brilliant at putting these events together and executing on that vision. So I think it's important to give them credit.
Well, the another piece of it from a investor side, if I'm an investor listening on the call here, is that what I was really able to do was when the event shut down in COVID, all these companies had all this amazing staff, and of course there were some staff better than others, and some staff that was not as good. But there was like I said, 20, 30 companies that were out there and that were event companies. And so when we launched, I basically went to them and kind of cherry picked the best of the best from different companies that managed or did a certain thing. And so
Yeah.
a lot of what you see in our company right now are veterans inside the event space. Again, they didn't start 2 years ago. They've been doing events for longer than I've been doing events. Some of them have been in event space for 20 plus years right now. And John has put on literally 10,000 plus events in his career. And so another unique advantage that we have is that we went and cherry picked from all the other event companies that were out there because they were not working, and we were able to snag them all over. And then we painted the vision to them, explained to them what we're going to do, and then they, like Marco said, moved out to Florida. We are 99% 100 based in Florida. We have 2 employees that are not in Florida. Besides that, everybody else, and that's just because of divorce situations and so forth. They with children, they couldn't move. But everybody's underneath one roof at our office right now.
Yeah, and one last thing about that too is if you look at what Forbes said, like what we're having right now post COVID, I think during COVID there was an increased hunger in having live events again because
Yeah,
people were tired of the Zoom calls. So
yeah,
now we're the leader in the industry, not a new industry, but we're the leader in the industry, and we have this widespread impact. And I like to say that we went from this idea, this vision, to launching a business, becoming a viable business, to creating a viable business model, and now we have created a movement. I really think that Aspire and Money is become a movement. It's not just a business anymore. It's much bigger. It's much bigger than what I think, well, at least what I thought we were setting out to do.
yeah. I mean, I definitely think, especially Aspire, has that movement kind of thing attached to it, and to even not just the members, but the celebrities. Like the roles are reversed. A year ago, when we
Yeah,
got started, we had to go chase down every single celebrity and
yeah,
plead and beg with them to come over. And now we have a
yeah,
list of celebrities that are hitting us up saying, "Hey, when's the next time I can go out? Do you guys want to book 6 events in a row with me? Give me the dates of all 2025. Let me work my schedule around your stuff." The roles have completely changed because of the type of event we host, the style event that we host, the experience that we create for the customer. For me as a visionary, creating the right experience in that room. And there's three levels to it. There's behind stage, on stage, and in the crowd. There's 3 levels to it, and creating an experience for each of those segments is part of, I believe, what's made us what you refer to as that brand that's there. Is we went really big on making sure that we established a brand and got a foothold in everything we have going on with our brand of Aspire. And so it definitely rearranged a lot of what we have as far as like celebrities and athletes and musicians that want to work with us for sure.
So let's talk about how we're further monetizing Aspire briefly, what we're calling Aspire Local. Before you do that, just throw this out there real quick. If you can't make it to a live event in a major city anytime soon, go to Instagram and just search Aspire Tour, one word, and you can get a taste, a feel for what it is. The content we put out, which is literally daily, multiple times a day, is phenomenal. So you can check it out there and get a feel for it. So just go to Instagram, Aspire Tour. So Aspire Local, let's touch on that, and then I will just talk about the investment in the fund briefly, and we can take a couple questions if anybody has any questions.
Yeah. So Aspire Local for us is something that we launched to, again, increase revenue, increase profit for what we have going on. And so Aspire Tour, which is like called the mothership, if you will, it can only go to certain cities because of the size of it. You know, again, when we go to Aspire Tour, we may have 40 of our staff members there working live at that event to help create the perfect experience for the customers there. But it can only go to certain markets because it needs a big demographic to be able to market to and get 3,000, 4,000, 6,000 people there, right? So you have obviously your New York Cities and Atlanta and LA and Dallas and Houston, Miami, Chicago. They have those cities that we can hit in. But there's a lot of other cities that are out there that we can't go to, mainly because if we market Aspire Tour, it's not going to be we're not going to be able to get 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people to show up in that market. So what we did was we created Aspire Local, and Aspire Local is where we go into kind of what we call a junior market. So in Texas, we've been to San Antonio. I mean, we've been to Dallas, and we've been to Houston, and those are two wonderful markets for us at Aspire Tour. Inside of them, Dallas just had in a second go around, it had 4,200 people pay tickets come to Dallas. Houston had close to 3,000 people, and we're going to that in last year, and we're going to it again this year in about 4 months from now. And so, but we couldn't go to San Antonio, Texas, or in Austin, Texas. It's just too small of markets for what we do. We couldn't go to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma City. We couldn't go to Raleigh, North Carolina, and Charlotte, North Carolina. And so what we did was we created Aspire Local, and Aspire Local is a half-day event instead of a full-day event. Aspire Tour is a full-day event. Aspire Local is a half-day event, and we basically will hit 2 cities in one day. So we'll go to, we just did one. Well, we'll go to San Antonio. We'll speak there from like 9 o'clock to like 1 o'clock. We'll leave, and then we'll go to Austin, Texas, and then the team will set up again, and we'll go from like 5 o'clock to like 9 o'clock. And so it's this hybrid model where we're able to hit now multiple cities in a month. And so could we take Aspire Tour and do more than one per month? It would be tough. It would be really tough. If we could squeeze some extra in, like could we go from 12 to 16? Yes. Could we go from 12 to 24 in Aspire Tour? That would be difficult. And so instead of trying to go down that path, we said, hey, listen, there's all these other cities that are out there. I mean, there's so many cities that we don't get to go to because of the size of them, but we could get 700 people to show up. We could get 1,000 people to show up for Aspire Local. And so that's what we went and did. And so we just launched it, Aspire Local. That's probably why Marco didn't want to talk about it yet. We just did the first event. We've been planning it for now 4 months now. We just hosted our first event in San Antonio and Austin. We have our next event coming up in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Raleigh, North Carolina. And so far, the very first one, it was a great success. Again, we'll keep hitting it and collecting the data from them. But one of the best things of the Aspire Local was really the marketing. The marketing at Aspire Local absolutely crushed it inside of the marketing side of it. And so a lot of people, especially with the first event ever, showed up. We had over, don't let me tell you this number, but we had about 1,100 people show up for the Aspire Local, which was a big win for us. Kind of a condensed event, not as many speakers that go to it, not as, because you're only there for 4 hours instead of like 9 hours. But it's a way for us to, again, drive profit at a much higher rate of speed, leaning into the Aspire Tour brand and Aspire Tour Instagram and website and speaker catalog, et cetera. At Aspire local in Texas, we had Marcus Lemonis speak. In Aspire local North Carolina, we have Robert Herkovich doing those two events for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let me throw a visionary question at you. Where do you could pick the year. Where do you see us being a year from now, or 2 years, or 3 years from now? You choose the time frame, but what is Andrew Cordle's brain see?
Well, when it comes to I'll break it down into maybe two categories, maybe three, but one is Aspire. And if we just look down the road, I don't like to go too far down the road because it gets into dreamy land versus like applicable goals that we can attain.
Right.
So if I just look at 18 months down the road from now, I think in 18 months down the road from now, obviously we'll be doing the 1 a month Aspire tours, which we're already doing. I think we'll be averaging closer in 18 months. I think we'll be getting closer to the 3,500 as like a kind of our baseline attendee rate. Right now, our baseline is like 25, and then we go up to like 45. I think in 18 months from now, we'll be up at 3,500 baseline. And again, the reason is because our marketing is getting better. Our cookies and social media are getting better. Our data that we collect from all the pixels of people that clicked on the websites that we can now turn around and remarket. We buy that data so we can remarket to them later, even though they didn't come to the event. All that is stacking up in our favor right now.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the people that attended it that show back up and the members that are there. Because what's happening now is we just started like a little bit of a ambassador like program where our members of Money Is, who came all from Aspire or Level Up, who came from Aspire, that are members now. They paid the 15 grand or 50. We give them, when we go back to their city, we give them little marketing pieces that they can promote for us. So it kind of gives us a guerrilla marketing approach for free that our ambassadors are using to promote and say, hey, I attend this event, here's what changed my life. But it's all local, organic people marketing it for us versus just paid advertisement going in the marketplace. So I think in 18 months, we'll be at 3,500 at a baseline at Aspire. I think 18 months will be at a minimum of 2 Aspire locals per month. We may be at 4 per month, but I would bank on we'll be at 2 Aspire locals per month in 18 months running at the same time. So you'll have Aspire Tour running, and then the same month we have Aspire locals running. 18 months, those would be back-to-back running nonstop in the next 18 months with Aspire. With Money Is and Level Up, in 18 months, I mean, I can sit here and tell you we'll be the largest mastermind in the world. We already are. I can tell you that we'll have more members than anybody else. We already do. But what I will tell you is the community. Go back to what Marco said at the very beginning. This is important as an investor that you guys understand. Our vision is not this year. I mean, our vision is not how do we get as many people to buy the membership as possible. Yes, that's obviously a goal. Yes, we track it. Yes, we have data. Yes, we know the numbers. But our bigger goal is community. And what we mean by community is that's why we invested in the app and we put so much money inside the custom app that we have, is because our community lives inside of it. Anything that they want from us is inside that app. And so what happens is there's a snowball effect that takes place. And so in year 2, you have members that were members in year 1 and their membership is due. And now you're going to have members that are renewing. And so what will take place is not only will you have in 18 months from now, not only will you have a full cycle of 12 months of higher number, baseline 25 to 4,500 at Aspire in 18 months. Not only 18 months will you have Aspire locals hitting 2 per month, hitting in 18 months, but you're going to have a full cycle of members who's joined the previous year. And every month, memberships now are expiring, right? Because the snowball has kicked into gear. Yeah. So every month, there's 50, 60, 70, 80 members that are expiring in membership. And now we get to go reback to them and then sell them to join again. But this time we don't have to go host an Aspire event. We don't have to go host a 3-day event. Our cost to go do that is literally just our sales guys on the phones calling back our members saying, hey, your time for renewal is up. You've attended all the events. Do you want to renew it? Do you want to renew again? And so 18 months, I think the biggest difference you're going to see in 18 months from now is the span of profit that will start hitting because you have this now second influx per month of, you'll have the new members signing up, but you'll have the second influx of old members, previous members rejoining up again as well. And so 18 months, I think the biggest thing that we look forward to is looking back at the data and saying, in those last 18 months, how many of our old members signed back up inside of the program again, the membership
Yeah.
again, and to join again. I think that's really where the 18-month vision is for us, is to focus on, it's the age-old thing in business. It's easier to keep a customer than it is to gain a new customer.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we have a whole machine or unicorn, if you want to call it that produces an insane, the most ever, understand, it produces the most ever mastermind members in the history of Mastermind. Our machine produces that many members at $15,000 a piece, paid in full memberships. On top of that, now you have the keeping of the customers that are already there, that are signing up as well. To me, that's the beauty of what we're building out inside of our community.
Yeah, and that was very well said, Andrew. And what you said is huge about the reoccurring revenue, that ARR, the annual reoccurring revenue, as each and every year goes by, and we have members that are joining or rejoining, signing up again. The margin on that is almost 100%. I mean, other than, our sales team calling to just touch base with them and have them renew, which a lot of them will want to do because of the value we provide. Our profits will explode. This just gets crazy, not unrealistically crazy, but crazy. The numbers are huge. So that recurring revenue is massive.
Well, you got to think about, just again, as an investor, if I'm sitting here on Zoom listening to this, you got to think about the stickiness, and that's what we really built. And then we did it on purpose. Look, we could have set out in the mastermind, charge $30,000 a year for membership, $40,000 a year for membership. There are many masterminds that I have joined, Marco has joined in our past, that we pay $30,000, $40,000 per year to be a part of. We could have went down that road, but what I wanted to do is make a mastermind that I could reach the perfect demographic that truly needed help. They knew they needed help. They had money, so they could afford it.
Yeah.
And they wanted help to get to the next level. And then we created stickiness inside of it. And you got to think about this. That money is, what's happening is they are sometimes for the first time opening up as a business owner, their self-directed retirement accounts that they have never, ever had before. Or they're converting money from an old 401k, old traditional IRA, and converting it into self-directed IRA accounts. And we have a partnership with the self-directed company. And so there's a direct connection between their retirement accounts, which, as everybody knows, myself included, is something that we hold very, very near and dear to us, is our retirement accounts. Well, they're attached to us because we're the ones that introduced them into how self-directed, tax-free retirement accounts work. And then we have a partnership with the largest custodian in the world called Equity Trust, largest custodian in the world. Again, if I'm an investor looking at this and I'm thinking through if I should invest or not, look at our partnerships. These are not like partnerships with Joe Schmo down the road. Our partnership is with the largest custodian in the world, Equity Trust, that provides training for our students, provides accounts for our students, security for our students. They put their money inside of the escrow account, if you will, at Equity Trust, and then the investors move and invest that money. And so inside of it, man, I tell you, the stickiness that we have built, the CPAs, the tax attorneys, it's a nucleus of what we've created that is built on purpose to keep the customers inside of it year after year after year. We on purposely chose to play the long game, which was not to go sell a $40,000 membership one time. Yeah. It was to sell a $15,000 membership year after year after year after year, again and again and again.
Yeah. That segues perfectly into 2 or 3 questions we have here, and then we'll start to wrap it up here with, what the investment opportunity is. So Sonia says, hi, Marco, does the $15,000 yearly Money is Mastermind membership include access to investment opportunities and travel to the mastermind events? Do you want me to answer this, or do you want to answer it?
I'll answer it. So yes, part of what it does is it includes investment opportunities. At our mastermind, it's one of the things that we are providing access to our members for, is direct access to different types of investments that are out there to them. Just for sake of it, we don't normally, because this might be a follow-up question, I want to answer this in case someone thinks this. We don't normally, very rarely, I think one time we mentioned it, but we don't ever raise money in that room for our own events. We've thought about it. It's not a good, it's just not a, it's almost like, what they say, it's like double dipping to a certain
It's
degree. You know what I mean?
incestuous.
Yeah, like incestuous, like it's like the same thing again. And so we don't do that. So we offer all types of different investment opportunities for them, but not into Aspire and what we're doing. We keep that separate from them and only go to Aspire to like Marco and other people like this inside of it. So yes, it provides opportunities for them to invest in their self-directed accounts, in tax-free accounts. Equity Trust, again, the largest custodian in the world, flies their team to our events and sits in the rooms with us, so that when there's an investment opportunity and members in our room want to go invest 100 grand, invest 500 grand, 300 grand, 50 grand, whatever it is, Equity Trust is right there waiting for them, and they do the paperwork, and the deal is funded.
Yeah.
So yes, and there is travel, but to be clear, we don't cover the travel cost. That's on the member. So if that was the question, like, is that including the travel cost? No, it does not include travel costs. That's on the member to pay for their own travel there inside of it. But they do get to go to two of our masterminds, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast.
And the travel's negligible. The cities that we have this in, which is Salt Lake City and Ponte Vedra, Florida, which is just south of Jacksonville, there's tons and tons of flights that come in and out of those cities. So flights are negligible, and we always get room blocks. Like we get good rates at the venues that we're at, like Sawgrass or wherever it may be. So that's not
Remember,
really...
Marco, just side note, just remember this. We are shifting because of the size of our mastermind.
Yeah.
We are shifting to Orlando in Florida
Yeah.
and Phoenix, Arizona, going into next year. Right now, it's what he just said, but just keep in mind, and the reason is because the size of it. Like right now,
Yeah.
where we're in Ponte Vedra at Sawgrass, we've maxed out their entire convention center, and that's the biggest convention center here. That's like a nice, well do with the hotel and everything with it. And so we're gonna shift to Orlando and Phoenix, Arizona next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I have
I
even more
appreciate that.
flights in and out of.
Yeah, I appreciate that clarification, Andrew. I didn't want to say anything because even though I talk to Eddie every single week, like we're constantly
Yeah, yeah.
talking, I didn't know if that was confirmed, so I didn't want to actually say it. But
It's
okay, thanks for
confirmed.
the clarification. Dirk, sharp questions here. Hey, Marco, what is or what do you expect the subscription renewals will be moving forward? Now, I don't know if he's referring to the dollar amounts or the percentage of renewals. But Andrew, I would assume that we're going to keep the 15K. I don't know about the renewal rate because it's too early to tell.
Well, yeah, we don't have enough data yet on the full renewal rate yet, meaning we haven't done enough months of it. However, we have started this process. And so I do have a little bit of data right now, and we're 2 months into it right now of the renewal side. 1 month, our first month, which was Dallas month, we hit just over a 60% renewal rate. The next one, which was the Fort Lauderdale mastermind, we hit like a 40 some odd percent renewal rate inside of that one. And so we're floating somewhere between the 60 and 40% renewal rate right now. But we also haven't, it's just like anything else in business. I think it'll go up a little bit. I don't think it's going to ever go to like, obviously it'll never go to 100% or
No,
80%. Those are
no.
unfathomable numbers. Look, 50% is insane.
Yeah,
That
it's huge.
50% of your people sign up again is an insane amount of number. However, where I think we can tweak it some is now that this is kind of unfolding is our call center, how our guys are communicating, and the pipeline that we're pushing them down inside of getting them ready to purchase. Again, it's like a new thing for our business. We didn't do that for a year, and now we're starting to do it. And so now we're starting to play with and tweak. When do we text? When do we get the first call? When do we
Yeah.
get the second call, etc.? Do we announce it at a mastermind? Here's what's the crazy part, though. It's been pretty wild. Is every mastermind we hold, the 2 a year, every mastermind we hold, we have a ton of people renew. We almost had $750,000 of renewals at the last mastermind that we did. And the reason was because they renewed at the $50,000 mark. So instead of coming in at 15,000, well, we let them give them credit for the 15,000 if they renew as a chairman's club. And so they get credit for the 15. Now they paid another 35,000. And that was the big hitter for us. This last mastermind that we did was we said, hey, there's gonna be a lot of people that need renewal. Let's do this. And so the renewal rate right now is going to be, my guess is around the 50% is where it's going to average out at. I think I can tweak it and move it a little bit, but if I could get it steady at the 60, I'll be super happy about it. But between the 50 and 60 is where I think it'd be at.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Dirk was asking. He followed up with clarification, saying is the renewal rate that he was interested in. Okay,
Yep.
so we've got 3 minutes to wrap up. Andrew, let me do my closing stuff, but I appreciate you taking the time to come on. This has been great. We could talk about this forever, but it's really, really exciting. So for everybody listening and those who listen to this after this that are not listening to us live or watching us live, go to aspiretour.com to learn more about what we're doing there. Um, it's just
Also,
brilliant. It's exciting.
the Instagram. I think you mentioned that earlier, Marco. I think it's a great way. If you can't make it to an Aspire event and you're sitting there thinking, okay, should I invest in this? How does this feel? Go to the Aspire Tour Instagram page, and you will see kind of the feeling and the excitement of an Aspire Tour on Instagram. Like you'll actually get like the videos and the celebrities that are
Yeah.
going nuts. Like you kind of get to see it at least to get some understanding of what it is, because it's not an event that's in a hotel room with all the lights are on in the room, and it's a boring setting. I mean, these are massive events with moving lights and decorations and all kinds of stuff inside of it. So I would highly recommend go to Aspire Tour
Yeah.
Instagram and just get a feel for it.
Yeah, and very professionally done. So if you, we've tried to educate you more on what we're doing today. Again, Aspire Money is and Level Up is a huge part. It's a little over 50%, 55% of Norada Capital's assets under management. And if you want to grow with us and invest and join what we're doing, you can do that. Just talk to your investment counselor. Again, we have two offerings. It's basically a 12% per year or 15% per year, paid monthly investment. You have to be an accredited investor. The minimum investment is $50,000. We have investors that are up to $1 million. So it's a wide gamut, but talk to your investment counselor. We'll send you the investment deck. We'll answer all your questions. We're available here for you all the time. But again, it's not going to be on the table forever. This offer will disappear in about 12 to 18 months. This is we're going to cap it. But again, if you like the idea of 15% per year paid monthly and you choose the term 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 year terms, let us know. Just go to noradacapital.com and we'll get in touch with you within 24 hours. We'll set up an appointment with an investment counselor and we'll just answer all your questions and make sure that you're a right fit for us, not just us for you. Lastly, try to check out an Aspire event if you can. Go to the city that's nearest you or just go to Instagram. And we'll do this every week. So again, I'm going to be back on next week, Wednesday, for another webinar. We'll talk about, money is, Level Up, Aspire, and everything else we're doing. So thank you for joining, Andrew. Thank you for taking the time. And we'll see you in 2 days at Aspire in Miami.
That's right. 2 days. See you then, Marco.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good week.